Maroon 5, the Adam Levine Experience, that guy from The Voice that I think has a band. These are just a few of the aliases that you might know them by, but they are indeed Maroon 5. I don't think there's too many bands out there that have fallen from grace in the way that Maroon 5 have. They started off with so much poise and talent, incorporating pop, R&B, and rock into their music, but it quickly went from that to just kind of a crapshoot as to what the hell you were gonna get. The band had humble enough beginnings, everybody from Jesse Carmichael, Mickey Madden, and Adam Levine making their way over from Kara's Flowers after that debut album kinda flopped and they had record label trouble. Yeah, they changed the name to Maroon 5, and they stayed intact as a band, just changed the name and obviously changed the output of the music, where they were originally kind of a throwback to some 70s, 80s funk, a little bit of a groove and psychedelia mixed with pop rock. It was nice on their debut album as Kara's Flowers. Despite the fact that their former band name is far superior, Maroon 5's first album is still a certified fresh dip into the waters of pop, blue-eyed soul, and yes indeed, a little bit of that funk. That's right, as fate has it, it's not actually just a myth. Maroon 5 was once a band. The way these tracks are written show us a sheer willingness to get into the nitty-gritty details of a relationship. Going the extra mile, as Adam writes, well, you know, songs about Jane, his ex. It's in the title of the album, and we really saw him unleashing on moments like Sunday Morning, This Love As I Just Noticed, Through With You, and Not Coming Home, a really aggressive track that I really enjoy. He seems very bitter and spiteful on this one, a breakup or perhaps something just got left on the table and he's like, I can't do this anymore. And we see that at the end of this record, everything is coming to a close, and I like that we're actually getting stories and not just pop songs. Sure, they can stand on their own, but at the same time, if you really think about it, there's a connecting flow that really ties together all of these songs perfectly. It made a statement. It made a lot of their songs in the early albums, like Songs About Jane and It Won't Be Soon Before Long, feel a bit more timeless and soulful. Hey, I'd even go to bat for their second album, It Won't Be Soon Before Long, more than I'm sure most would. I mean, there's some goodies packed in all over, like Kiwi, Little Bit of Your Time, and If I Never See Your Face Again. They had great material in their early days for somebody getting played on the radio, a band that you could actually hear their bass grooves, their guitar, and some awesome vocal melodies on Songs About Jane and It Won't Be Soon Before Long. What the fuck happened? It started with their 2010 album Hands All Over, which wasn't great, which it also wasn't that bad. I think a lot of people tend to look at that as the falling out point, like you either jumped ship or else probably jumped on the ship at that point and became a fan because of their later pop material. Hands All Over was their breaking point, since the album isn't inherently awful, but it did get pretty watered down and by the numbers, and it really shows in the way that the album was received. There are some songs that recapture the magic of their early work, such as Never Gonna Leave This Bed, which has a great hook and a great build, and also I Can't Lie, which is a lot of fun, but most of the album feels like forgettable background fodder, in my humblest of opinions at least. But Hands All Over, it didn't perform as well as the band wanted it to. So what did they do next? They decided to mix things up. In fact, they almost broke up, talked about breaking up. Adam said that he wouldn't want the band to go past a certain age, and here we are. When looking at any forum, any subreddit discussion on Maroon 5, the general consensus is that they had 2 great albums, 1 mediocre one, and then they sold the hell out starting around Overexposed in 2012. They dialed up the pop to 11 for their 2012 offering Overexposed, which again has a few good songs on it, but Jesus, man, you can really see why they never recovered after this. I mean, like, there are moments on there that I can have fun with. I don't necessarily see them as being like amazing tracks, but I mean, like Lucky Strike, One More Night occasionally. I mean, there's songs on there that sit well enough to me that I still listen to them occasionally. This was post-sellout, but pre-full-on ego takeover, so basically a really weird, wonky time for Maroon 5, but after that, we really just started losing them. And it was around that point, and obviously the song that rejuvenated the band with Christina Aguilera, Moves Like Jagger, that they really just started to become whores for just having feature. They wanted feature after feature after feature, and then they invite on a rapper because they can't get all the success on their own. Forget Payphone. In fact, just forget Wiz Khalifa's cloudable verse that has absolutely nothing to do with the rest of the song. They rely so heavily on the fact that these guest features come in to maybe give their other songs that don't have a feature a boost, but also it's become increasingly clear over time that they put out more singles that have a feature than don't. And if you look at the production credits on that album, it was a little bit all over the place, considering it went from Benny Blanco to Stargate to themselves trying to produce a few of the tracks. It came out as a muddled mess, and Payphone being the lead single from that project, it had me very worried as somebody who had previously been a somewhat big fan of Maroon 5. Maroon 5 almost completely creatively fizzled out after pumping out this album, so take it for what it is. One last ride with a band that once held a torch in the pop market while still retaining a bit of their dignity. Ironically enough, as Maroon 5 kept getting further into their career and the sound kept getting more and more basic and watered down, there were more people than ever standing on stage and apparently recording in studio, but people really took notice of the outside co-writers. Everyone from Julia Michaels, Justin Tranter, all those other top 40 people. The band themselves rarely get writing credits on the album, and I find that disturbing. The past 3 releases especially, it's rare that you see a Madden credit or a Valentine credit.
Here's the problem. Too many writers.
Having a fresh set of eyes or a different perspective is not inherently evil. I don't want you to think that I, or maybe even the people that agree with me on this take, are saying that, hey, you can't have an outside co-writer, because sometimes you do need a new jumping off point, or maybe something to get you motivated to write again. But it's become obvious and blatant with Maroon 5 that instead of looking for inspiration, they're just looking for a big payday. 5 or V showed us a couple of respectable singles in the form of It Was Always You and Maps, which teased that the guys were actually strumming their instruments again instead of just calling it in on a payphone. Nope, actually they were just super misleading and the album fucking stinks like rotten eggs.
You've got songs like Sugar, Unkiss Me, and even like New Love that totally irk me lyrically and just drive me up the wall.
Fast forwarding to all of the shit stains that line this stinker, we first encounter Animals, which sounds quite predatory lyrically. Not predatory as in, oh wow, I just watched a lion take down a gazelle on Animal Planet. Think more of a, I just watched Adam Levine stalk a woman in the grocery store while somehow deluding himself into believing that she wants to hear him howl like a wolf.
Why'd you do that?
Animals is a really weird chorus because it's not only aggravating because of the style and the pitch and the tone of his voice that is so overly processed. Baby, I'm preying on you tonight, hunt you down, eat you alive, just like animals. It's a weird song. How did we let that go top 10 in America? That straight up sounds like assault, like you're waiting in an alley for a woman to walk out of a club and you're preying on her tonight like you're some sort of fox out in the wilderness that's attacking its prey? And who could forget the curse upon humanity that is sugar? You know exactly what you did when you made that song and the music video, Maroon 5. Now we're all gonna be forced to hear this terrible song at weddings for the next 5 decades. So thanks a lot for nothing. This remix of Sugar with Maroon 5 is just the epitome of cringe. This comes in where Nicki Minaj says her name like she does on every feature, and then she says the name of the artist that she's working with, Nicki Minaj, Maroon 5, let's roll. Wow, how creative. You say the same thing for everybody and you get millions of dollars to do so. They clearly are talented. They are clearly good songwriters. In fact, Jesse Carmichael and obviously Adam Levine wrote some damn great pop songs early in this century. And now you're expecting us to believe that the best you've got is moments like Sugar, Animals, and some of the recent songs like Don't Wanna Know, Cold, and some of the new ones on Red Pill Blues. The band and their producers run into this roadblock of just reusing these little guitar loops over and over again, cutting them up, doing some vocal things, adding in this deep bass that just seemingly does nothing other than try to make the mood feel very edgy, make things seem so caustic and like, oh, this is happening, the weight of this situation. We seriously hate playing instruments and being a band, and we'd like to alienate as many of our old fans as possible by kissing the ass of the industry in order to score a few more top 40 hits. Dignity completely sails out the window on this lifeless cash grab featured artist fest that relies heavily on the talents of others instead of, writing songs themselves or actually doing something with their instruments other than standing around acting like they're playing them when they're probably not even plugged in. Gonna walk out, 2018. Rough enough year already, but on my 27th birthday, Girls Like You by Maroon 5 and Cardi B. No! No! Only Maroon 5 could turn a Kendrick Lamar feature into something just grating. Repetitive as hell. It just comes back, keeps hitting the same stale notes over and over again. I don't want to know, no, no, no. I don't want to know, no, no, no. What you'll become, come. Girls like you, going like me. I should have put this song on my worst list. Why? Why, John? It's lazy, and it's a trend that I see in pop music from late 2015 especially. I mean, it's always been something that's been there, but it's gotten worse and worse to the point where it's just flat out lazy. Like, what are these choruses these days? And it makes me miss, once again, the early Adam Levine, one that was writing from a very honest and earnest point of view. Maybe, just maybe, I would dial it back if I actually felt like this was an album that had anything genuine to say at all. If it was something that tried to be a bit more poetic or at least pronounced with the way that they do things. But instead, it feels like Maroon 5 have felt like for the past decade. Can't you see that I'm over the moon for Nobody's Love? Their 12,000th song about love that we also desperately needed to get us through these dark times? Guys, I'm not even kidding, but the name of the song, of course, is Echo. And then they put an echo effect so that it repeats the word echo as if it's echoing, and you can see it in the back of your mind's eye, where they're like in the studio like, what if we put an echo on echo? Oh my god, dude, it's brilliant! But I do have to admit, it hits different hearing Adam Levine sing, "You Can Make a Grown Man Cry" again and again and again. My man sounds super needy, and I'm not gonna be the one to tend to those needs. It sounds like the alert Thomas the Tank Engine would make as he's pulling into the train yard to warn all of the other trains that something's gone horribly wrong. On this song, Memories, we have the crowd starting off during the first chorus that opens the track, the first verse, and then it just abruptly shuts off. The crowd goes silent during the rest of the song until the very last particles of what remains of the song. It makes no sense to me. Why is there a live crowd cheering in the background? And if you're gonna do it for part of it, why not do it for all of it? It doesn't add up. It was their first hit in quite some time that only had the Maroon 5 name behind it, so I thought maybe they would dial back the features for Jordy. Well, instead, they ran in the opposite direction and said, shove them on every single track except for like 4, and we've got everybody from Her to Megan Thee Stallion, and then posthumous appearances from Juice WRLD and Nipsey Hussle. It's like they don't think that they are commercially viable enough on their own as the Maroon 5 brand and band, and they're like, we have to get somebody else on here, you know? It's not gonna sell well, we're not gonna get #1, or we're not gonna get a top 20.
Hey, editor here. Sorry that I'm interrupting the flow of the video, but side note, what is up with that logo design? It's like if Rainbow Road from Mario Kart had diarrhea all over the track, and then you're forced to look at it through 3D glasses. It looks awful and generally bothered me since I was a kid. And if you know that a kid is bothered by your graphic design, you're doing something wrong.
I mean, Maroon 5 probably had to pay a pretty penny especially for Juice WRLD, and it's just a very short verse so that they could write featuring Juice WRLD. It's gonna get more streams from fans of his that are going to go check out the song, they're gonna save it, they're gonna listen to it because they love Juice, and I don't blame them necessarily, I blame the people behind it. Get a load of this final comment though. He says, my goal is to make songs that don't sound dated 10 years later. My main criteria for a song is, can I live with it forever? And if I can, I just don't have the heart to do it. It's that simple. I mean, Maroon 5 of all people, do you really think that Nipsey Hussle and Juice WRLD were just gonna be down with that no matter what? I mean, maybe, I can't speak for them, but I can't imagine that they'd be rushing to collaborate with Adam Levine. Look at you, Adam Levine. Look at you lying through your fucking teeth and telling us that you're not doing this for the chart success and the money. It's about making songs that don't feel dated. They've followed the trends. They look at the charts, they see where the money is, and they try to grab the producers, the writers, the sound that fits the current mood. Genuine question here, who in their right mind is seeking out a full album of material from Maroon 5? I think they're aware of this because this is absolutely just a collection of singles and songs that they kind of banked up over the past few years, threw it together and shit it out in album form. It feels like a total disconnect. It can go from sounding like Adam Levine standing in front of a ring light practicing to be a TikToker in his mid-40s to just bouncing back to styles of the 80s and having no heart, no soul, just a total disconnect from anything from the former band that we once knew. Red Pill Blues, what a terrible album title, what a terrible album cover. And then in pink, black, and blue text, it says Red Pill Blues, and each shot of them is just a cutout portrait. It looks like somebody shit out some Snapchat filters in about 2 minutes and then just said, that's gonna be the album cover for Red Pill Blues. They're not even really like looking at the camera or anything. Nothing about me would scream post me even to Snapchat, and you somehow made this your album cover? In Your Pocket sounds like a dad talking about technology with Adam's constant phone references.
For me, that song actually did have the potential to be kind of interesting, just because it's like interrogating a girl for supposedly cheating on you or something. But if you really look into it, at no point does it actually give a sign that the girl did something wrong.
Yeah, and the instrumental was absolutely flat. I felt like there was nothing there that excited me about that at all.
They're just pumping out these tracks that feel like they're trying to tether themselves to whatever trend is happening in music at the time, except it also sounds outdated, like they're trying to copy trends that were maybe a few years ago, because they're that far removed from reality. What's up, everyone? Adam Levine from Maroon 5 here. I'm actually out here doing some secret recruiting because, as you know, we're always adding new members to the band. What they actually do remains undetermined, but who could actually bother to care enough to find out? How do they manage to have now 7 official members in the band, yet they sound way less than what they did whenever they were actually playing pop rock music? It doesn't make sense at all. It sounds like a producer and Adam Levine. It's like this new thing, like nobody even plays instruments or anything and you can't even hear the instruments, but we're adding new people all the time. Where is the band on this? I don't hear any guitars, any real bass, any real drumming, or anything like that. So I don't exactly see how we can call this Maroon 5. Even V at least had some instruments on it. What is Mickey Madden doing? What is PJ Morton doing? What are these guys doing? I mean, I guess the keyboards, some of the production, pressing loops whenever you play a live show, and in the studio, they're barely noticeable on the tracks. I think it's been very damaging to their brand and the actual integrity of the band, the chemistry within. It doesn't seem like the other members really have input other than Adam Levine. So it just seems like a bunch of people coming together, calling themselves a band for the sake of having the Maroon 5 name, but that just seems like if Adam really wanted more money, then he would just do it himself and kick everybody else out or else go solo. So I'm not exactly sure. I'm kind of confused by Maroon 5 at this point. They started off under the radar and relatively unknown, playing the music that they wanted to make. It's just that they kind of got swept up in the whirlwind of fame and never got put back down, or at least Adam Levine's ego never did. And for a while there, now Levine actually went on hiatus, and I didn't think he was going to rejoin the band, but there he is, back and touring again, and I guess he missed the money. Adam Levine and company seem content cashing checks at this point, churning out songs for Just Dance 2017, whatever soundtrack that they can get on, or whatever commercial they can be in the background of. Adam Levine is on The Voice, gets a ton of exposure, so Maroon 5 keep dropping singles and maybe another album's on the way at some point. It's a brand, let's be honest, it's not a band. You know what, maybe they deserve some sort of medal for being the only band in the world that cannot sound like a band. They sound like 3 people maximum. Maybe somebody doing some of the instrumentals, and then a producer, and then Adam Levine, the lead singer of this band. It's the Adam Levine experience. It has been for like the past 5-7 years, something like that. Love talking about the Adam Levine experience these days. The Adam Levine ego experience. Buckle up, because it's the Adam Levine experience. From the minds of Maroon 5, namely Adam Levine. As the years roll by, it's collapsed into more of the Adam Levine experience, which I don't think a ton of us really signed up for. I don't know how fun it could be to be in a band where nobody cares really about anybody except for the lead singer. Nobody knows anybody in the band except for the lead singer. I wouldn't if I hadn't been into them before this, and obviously because I take my time to look into the band's back catalog and that sort of thing in their history. I guess Adam Levine's ego is our guiding star. We must follow his light. What a mantra to stand by. Yikes. When your ego becomes so big that it swallows the rest of the growing number of band members that are added over the years whole, then you know you've got a problem, and I think with Adam in particular, he just always gave off a very douchey vibe. Douche chill. And as Adam Levine himself said, I'm not happy unless I'm the center of attention. I have to have attention. He quite literally said that. People have largely pointed out that in the early days, Adam seemed to be somebody who was very confident and maybe a bit overly so, but it was still kind of charming on songs about Jane and It Won't Be Soon Before Long. But something changed as the success started to inflate that ego.
I saw this girl out here. She's been like posing for pictures and stuff for like 10 minutes. She's an expert, clearly, so we're gonna go approach her.
Adam Levine, you've got kind of a weird past on your hands. I mean, besides all the women's stuff and all the weird talk, you go to yoga because, you know, a lot of women there are fuckable and that sort of thing. We remember the quotes. We can dig them up.
Do you want to be in the band?
Yes.
All right, let's go, girl.
Let's go.
Get in my car. Get in my car. All right, it's right here.
He said to USA Today in 2012 that he thought it was vomit-worthy, the fact that celebrities would attach their name to a fragrance and just put it out there. I don't know if he was trying to be humorous because a year later he's got his own fragrance out there for women. He's developed a reputation for not being good to fans, whether that be interactions or even at live concerts where he's gotten frustrated. There was a specific international incident in early 2020 before the pandemic. It leaves people with a bad taste in their mouth. And the stunts that he pulled with going shirtless at the Super Bowl halftime show, it didn't exactly help his character development.
I swear I'll behave.
To take it a step further, Adam Levine has gone out of his way to say that rock is dead. It's no longer cool. This was just like a year or two ago, and he kind of stood by his comments too. I know that I trash a lot of rap music and also some rock music too, but I know that there's a lot of great stuff that you're not hearing in the mainstream. You have to search a little bit harder, and obviously Adam Levine's not doing that. Those first two albums as Maroon 5 performed fantastically for them, and why would they continue to not just channel more of that? Who cares if maybe you're not as popular? They were still having #1 hits like Makes Me Wonder from this very album. How are you not seeing that as success? And they keep teasing and taunting fans. By every album cycle, they're like, oh, this is the one where we're gonna get back to the instruments and maybe more of a songs about Jane type vibe. And then they drop songs like Cold with Future. And I'm just like, but bro, rock is back. Like guitars and music, it's out there again. So why the fuck are you not taking Maroon 5 back to this place instead of just trying to cash in on these trappy, minimalistic bullshit excuses of songs? Look at all of them on this back album cover here. They're all wielding their instruments, playing drums, looking like a rock band, and it almost seems like Adam now is throwing that out the window and saying, oh, well, you know, I never really liked rock or anything about alternative or anything like that. We've always been about the hip-hop vibe. We're the cool band, you know? We're still on the charts. And also, Grammys, you fucked us because we cornered the market and now you guys aren't giving us Grammys anymore. He was mad that Lorde got to sing her song even though she didn't actually sing. She had the fucking flu, and you called her out for that. But your old buddy, old pal Julia Michaels, which we now know why you're defending her because obviously she co-wrote your songs for you, instead probably wrote the majority of them, and obviously featured on Help Me Out. That's your girl, you say. Well, what about Lorde? She's out there giving it her all, and she's just trying to perform with the flu, even at the MTV VMAs. But, you know, the second Julia Michaels gets cut off a little bit early, you know, it's the end of the world. Best new artist, I know, but it happens. And you're outraged about that? Are you outraged about the fact that Chester Bennington's tribute got cut off early? You know, they went to commercial break during that. Where's the outrage there, Adam? Oh, it's only shit because you care about the people that can make moves to make you more successful, make Maroon 5 more successful, and it's sad that this is what it has come to. Suck on a rattling trap hi-hat. Look, I think we can all agree that Maroon 5 are so far past their prime, they can't even see it in the rear view. It's not on the radar at all. It's clear that this band was so focused on making money that they forgot about who they were and didn't care about who they were in the process. Who is actually streaming Girls Like You like 100,000 times just on their own? There's gotta be somebody that just left their Spotify up in the background and racked up 100 or maybe 200, 300 mil of those plays, right? No, somehow it's genuine. I guess the divorced middle-aged dads and the soccer moms chugging wine only to remember, hey, you know what? There's somebody out there just doing worse than me. me, and that apparently is Maroon 5. To recap everything I just said, they're squandering their potential in exchange for cash. I know that there are talented songwriters and musicians under all of those layers. They're always adding members to the band, yet it never seems like they're doing anything. They follow every trend possible just to be as commercially viable as possible because they want the numbers, they want the charts, they want the hits. Adam Levine is kind of a weird and egotistical dude, and it plays out in some very interesting ways, especially whenever it comes to co-writing and just putting whatever else he can out into the world just to make him a little bit more money. The legacy of Maroon 5's early talent gets undermined constantly, but we have to remind ourselves that it doesn't change the fact that they were hitting all the right notes on their debut album. I'm not let down, I'm just still almost baffled, puzzled if you will, at the fact that they somehow keep getting worse. It's like they're fraying right in front of our eyes. They're falling apart at their core, and they don't know what to do. Instead of trying to maybe mix it up or even return to a sound that they know so many of their fans love, they just continue to throw out this bullshit. Bands are definitely allowed to do whatever the hell they want, and who am I to say? A lot of people enjoy it, but I think a lot of people would also agree with me when I call it a de-evolution, especially whenever it comes to Maroon 5. Huge steps backwards and just awful content at this point. They should absolutely just retire, or maybe Adam can go solo. Maybe they can turn into a touring band. I think a lot of people would welcome that decision. Somehow there is apparently a massive desire for background noise, and that's apparently what Maroon 5 have devolved into. And again, that clout-chasing mentality of wanting to have the numbers, of never being satisfied, of wanting to reach those heights of what you did before at all times, it keeps Adam in particular driving and just furious in that driver's seat. He keeps pushing to get back to whatever success they may have had before, but they left the fans behind in the fast lane.